It was 6:47 on Thanksgiving night. 34 people at one long table. Candles lit, food warm. My mom stood up with her wine glass raised. "To the family that actually matters," she said. 33 glasses went up. Then she looked at me. Her face did not change at all. She said it clearly enough for every single person to hear. I would not get a cent from Grandma. I had never done anything for her. 33 people sat there with their glasses still up. Not one of them said a word. I set my napkin on the table. I picked up my coat. I walked out at 6:49 p.m. What none of them knew was that Grandma had been quietly building a case for 3 years, and her lawyer already had everything he needed. My mom dismissed me in front of 34 people like I was not worth correcting. And not one person at that table pushed back. If you have ever worked quietly for years and watched someone treat your effort like it was nothing, you already know exactly how that room felt. Subscribe. This story has one of the most complete endings I have ever told. I do not want you to miss a single part of it. My name is Nadia. I run a one-woman mosaic tile business out of Tucson, Arizona. That is Tucson, for anyone who has never been to the desert. I am not flashy. I drive to a job, lay tile all day, drive home. Every morning before I start work, I water a small dried-out succulent on my workbench. It has been dead for 2 years. I cannot bring myself to throw it away. I am not sure what that says about me. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. My family has a clear order, and it was set a long time ago. My sister Becca went to a 4-year university. My parents paid for all of it. Tuition, apartment, books, everything. My brother Marco had plans that always got the benefit of the doubt. My younger brother Seth was the baby, so he got the soft treatment no matter what. And then there was me. When I asked my dad for a small loan to finish my tile certification program, he said the family could not just hand out money to everyone. I finished on my own. I worked nights. Nobody acknowledged it. At family dinners, my mom Linda introduced me as our one who never quite got it together. Every single time. Like it was just a fact about me. Like it would never change. That was the pattern. I had stopped expecting anything different. And then 3 years before that Thanksgiving, I drove 40 minutes on a Sunday morning to check on an old woman nobody else had bothered to visit. Grandma Vera lived alone on the east side of town. Becca had mentioned offhand that Vera had been calling and sounding lonely. Becca said she was too busy. Marco said he would get over there at some point. Seth did not say anything at all. Nobody went. So I went. I knocked on a Sunday at 11 in the morning. Vera opened the door in her housecoat with her hair not brushed. She looked at me like she genuinely had not expected anyone to show up. "Come in," she said. "I just made coffee." I went back the next Sunday. And the next. Within a month, it was every single week. On my way out that first visit, I asked if she needed anything. She waved her hand and said, "Oh no, I am fine, dear." I noticed the bathroom sink was dripping on my way to the door. I did not say anything that day. I just came back. A few weeks later, I replaced the burned-out bulb in her hallway. It had been dark for weeks. I called a plumber for the sink and paid for it myself. I sat at her kitchen table and opened a stack of medical bills she had not touched. We went through every envelope one by one. She never asked me to do any of it. I just did it. One Tuesday in March, about 2 years in, Vera looked at me over her coffee cup and said, "You are the only one who comes, you know." Not sad, not a complaint, just a fact, like stating the weather. I squeezed her hand and said I liked coming. I meant every word of it. What nobody in that family knew was what Vera was doing on her own during those 3 years. She was watching, she was documenting, and she was making decisions with a very clear mind. About 8 months before Thanksgiving, Vera's doctor pulled me aside after an appointment. She told me Vera was showing early signs of cognitive decline. She said Vera would need more support. Then she looked at me carefully and said I was listed as Vera's emergency contact. I had attended every single appointment for the past 8 months. As far as the doctor could tell, I was the one providing her care. That evening I called Linda. I explained what the doctor said. I asked if she could come by even once a week. Just once. Linda said she had a full-time job. She said the family could not rearrange everything just because Vera was getting older. She said Vera would be fine. I called again 2 weeks later. Same answer. Less patient this time. I called a third time in October. By then Vera had woken up at 3 a.m. confused and tried to leave the house. She thought she needed to pick up Linda from school. Linda got sharp. She told me my visits were starting to look strange. She said normal people did not do this. She told me to let Vera be. I hung up. That night I sat on the floor of my workshop next to the dead succulent and turned my mom's words over in my head for a long time. Was she right? Was I overdoing it? Was there something off about what I was doing? I did not come up with a clean answer. I just went back on Tuesday anyway. 3 weeks after that phone call, Linda stood at a Thanksgiving table and told 34 people I had never done a single thing for Vera. I need to pause here. Has anyone ever treated your work like it was invisible? Like what you gave did not count because it did not look the way they expected? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. Vera died on December 8th, 4:22 in the afternoon. I was in the chair beside her bed. She squeezed my fingers once, lightly. Then she was gone. I sat there for a long time. The room was very quiet. Then I made the calls. Hospice first. Funeral home second. Then I called Linda. She answered on the second ring. I told her in a flat voice that Vera had passed. Linda asked if anyone had been with her. I said yes. She said she would call the others about the funeral. That was the entire conversation. No, are you okay? No, I am sorry. Nothing. The funeral was quiet. 41 people. Mostly Vera's neighbors and her friends from church. After the funeral, the family group chat lit up immediately. Becca looked up property values in Vera's neighborhood right away. Marco and Seth were already talking numbers. Nobody mentioned Vera. Not once in the entire thread. It read like a real estate meeting with her name removed. I read every message. I did not reply to any of them. I already knew what the will said. Not because I had gone looking. Because Vera had told me herself 6 months earlier. She had asked me to sit down at her kitchen table. She had a cup of tea in her hand and a look on her face I had not seen before. Calm and deliberate, like she had been thinking about this for a very long time. She told me everything. The house, the investment account, the savings, all of it. And she told me what she had decided. Then she said something else that I did not fully understand until the day of the reading. She said her lawyer already had everything he needed. She had updated her will 3 separate times over the past 2 years. Every single version said the same thing. And each time she updated it, she had handed Mr. Devane something new. A printed phone log, a stack of receipts, a written note from her neighbor Dorothy, a copy of my emergency contact form from her doctor's office. She had built the record herself, deliberately. While she still could, I asked her if she was sure about all of it. She smiled, the warmest smile I had ever seen on her face. She said she had never been more sure of anything. The will reading was scheduled for the following Thursday, 12th floor of a downtown building. I arrived at 1:45 p.m. I sat alone in the conference room for 4 minutes. Cream walls, long table, a box of tissues near the window. Linda and Becca arrived together at 1:52. Dressed well. Becca had her hair done. Linda wore a blazer I had not seen before. They sat across from me without a word. Marco and Seth arrived just before 2 o'clock. They had no idea what was coming. Mr. Devane entered at exactly 2 p.m. Tall, gray-haired, dark suit. He set a manila folder on the table, then a leather portfolio beside it. He did it with quiet precision. You could tell he had done this 1,000 times before. He read the assets without rushing. The house, $620,000. A savings account with $487,000. An investment account worth $1,214,000. A smaller account with $41,000. Total, $2,362,000. I watched Linda calculate. To Linda, $5,000. She blinked. To Becca, $5,000. Becca's mouth opened. Same amount for Marco. Same for Seth. Then Mr. Devane turned the page. He read the next line. The entirety of the remaining estate goes to Nadia. The room went completely still. I counted 10 full seconds where nobody made a sound. Mr. Devane said there was also a letter. He reached into the leather portfolio and took out one sheet of cream paper, folded once. He smoothed it carefully on the table, and he read it out loud. Vera wrote that I came every week for 3 years, 40 minutes each way without ever complaining. She wrote that I took her to every appointment, that I paid her bills, that I was there when she was frightened and lonely and dying. Nadia is the only one who ever showed up for me. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. I was crying before he finished reading. Linda said it had to be a mistake. She said to read it again. Her voice stayed controlled, but something behind her eyes had shifted. Becca said Vera had not been thinking clearly at the end. Mr. Devane nodded once. Then he opened the portfolio. He explained that Vera had updated this 3 separate times over 2 years. Every version said the same thing. At each update, Vera had personally delivered supporting documents to his office while she was still in full health. Phone logs showing my calls. 4 per week for 3 years. Visitor records from her doctor's office. Receipts for medications and home repairs I had paid for. A sworn written statement from her neighbor Dorothy confirming I was the only family member who visited on a regular basis. He slid a signed statement from Vera's doctor across the table. It confirmed Vera was of full legal capacity at every single signing. He said any contest of this would fail. He said the evidence was overwhelming. He said Vera had made sure of that herself. He said he wanted to save them the money and the time. Becca looked at me for the first time all afternoon. She started to say something. The beginning of something. Then she looked down at the table instead. She went quiet and stayed quiet. I did not say anything either. There was nothing to say that would have landed right. Linda said we needed to talk. I picked up my coat. I looked at her, and I said very quietly, "No, we don't." Then I walked out. Linda called me 14 times that night. I did not answer. By the following Thursday, she had called 47 times total. Becca sent one long email. Marco and Seth left voicemails. At first they said it could not be right. Then they said I had manipulated Vera. Then they said to just split it and move on. Then the messages started sounding different. Smaller. More tired. Linda hired an estate attorney and filed a formal contest on grounds of undue influence and lack of capacity. The probate judge reviewed every document. She found 0 evidence of manipulation. She ruled the will valid and properly executed. She warned strongly against any further litigation and said sanctions would be considered. Linda paid $34,200 in legal fees. She had received $5,000 from Vera. She spent nearly 7 times that trying to take what was not hers. I kept the house. I fixed everything that had been broken. I made it what Vera always wanted it to be. I donated to the hospice team that cared for her at the end. I set up a vocational scholarship at a local trade school for people who had to figure it out alone the way I did. Every Tuesday I drive to the cemetery. I bring a cup of Earl Grey, the kind she liked. I sit on the bench near her headstone and talk for a while. About the tile work. About the house. About nothing important. It still feels a little strange. It also feels right. About a week after the ruling, I got a text from Becca. 2 words. "I'm sorry." Then nothing. She went completely quiet after that. I read it once. I did not reply. I am still not sure what I would have said. 2 months after the ruling, Linda called one last time. Late at night. I let it go to voicemail. She did not apologize. She just said she hoped I knew what I had done to this family. I listened to it once. Then I deleted it. Here is the one thing I want you to carry from this. Vera did not leave me that house because I wanted something from her. She left it to me because she paid attention. And she made sure the record would speak for itself. You do not have to announce what you do. You do not have to defend it. You just have to keep showing up. The people who wrote you off do not get to write the ending. Tell me something. If this had been you, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have given them one more chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear the story right now, send it to them. They will know why. If this story gave you that feeling, that specific satisfaction of watching the truth finally land, subscribe. Because I have more. Stories about people who were written off and counted out, who then made sure that was the last mistake anyone made. See you in the next one.